I didn't. It was definitely unintentional. I just... Come here, Vernon. Okay, anyway, the next speaker is going to be Jonathan Kraft, founder of the Keepers of the Wild Sanctuary. Jonathan Kraft.
Well, I'm kind of glad that Vernon went ahead of me, solved a lot of my problems here. Thanks, Vernon. First, I'd like to thank, of course, the Phoenix Exotic Wildlife Association for inviting me. I remember the first time that I was exposed to this association was about a year ago, and I think it was in Pahrump. And boy, did I come in with my hackles up, let me tell you. Private ownership of big cats, taboo. And of course, I've been slightly adjusted since then. In any event, you're to be commended, of course, for policing your own industry. But I did want to follow up on what Vernon said and Brian said earlier about the industry. Of course, we're Keepers of the Wild. We're a nonprofit animal sanctuary, a 501c3. And we've been around for quite a few years. And let me tell you something. If you don't know about hard work, get into sanctuary business. My God, you work your butt off all the time. And it's a relentless pursuit for looking for money all the time. So in any event, of course, I started out in show business in Las Vegas, and I figured, well, I'll get into the sanctuary business. This should be a piece of cake. This is a slam dunk, boy. All these big fancy hotels and a lot of big cat lovers out there and so on and so forth. So the first grant writing I did was to all of the hotels in Vegas. I came up with $100 from Caesar's Palace. That was it, okay? I just want you to be aware of that. Matter of fact, I quoted that in our Smithsonian Magazine article. It's been a huge struggle, obviously, and anybody in here that has a sanctuary or runs a sanctuary knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I decided to call this particular address as the business of sanctuary. And could I have some water, please? Oh, yes. Thank you. And Brian summed it up real nice because this is the business of sanctuary. Sanctuary is just that. It is a business, whether it is nonprofit or for-profit. If you don't run it as a business, you're running into serious problems. And by the way, that is the problem with a lot of sanctuaries that have no money. They're all filled to capacity, and very, very difficult for them to get any money. So what I'd like to start with is, first of all, is to give you a little bit of an idea what I as a sanctuary, or we as a sanctuary, go through. First of all, is I've got about, I don't know, probably about 120, 130 animals on my desk. I have a real big desk. These are, of course, very unfortunate animals that are looking for a home. And just like the Colton facility and Corpus Christi Zoo just closed down, you know, you start getting large numbers of cats that need to be placed all at one time is virtually impossible unless you build a new facility for them. And so consequently, we do have a tremendous amount of animals out there that are constantly looking for a home. The exotic animal trade, by the way, in the United States is a billion-dollar industry. Matter of fact, it's somewhere near $15 billion annually. It is the largest illegal trade next to drugs and guns. I just wanted you to be aware of that. It's kind of ironic, but it is true. The largest, first of all, is there's about 4,700 licensed breeders. Now, the USDA tells me 4,000. Well, this is information that I got from the USDA. So, in any event, there's 4,700 licensed breeders out there. That it does not include any of the illegal breeders, of course. There is about 28 websites dedicated to tiger purchase only. There's over 1,000 websites currently about be able to buy an exotic of all sorts. And yet the United States Department of Agriculture cannot tell me how many of those are actual large cat breeders. Today they did have a figure for us, but when we try to get information, they keep telling us it's real easy to get information from the USDA. Try it sometime. Okay, I don't have to tell you that overbreeding is rampant. It's out of control. The United States Humane Society estimates there's about 5,000 to 7,000 tigers in the United States alone. There are more than 15,000 big cats in private hands. Only 10% of those are in zoos and are in sanctuaries. Now, according to the ASA, and this is a testimony that was given by Tippi Hedren on June 12th, I believe, for Congress of 2003, she made a statement that there is 50,000 big cats in private hands. Either way, no matter how you look at it, these numbers are staggering, it's over the top, and I think we need to get control of the situation. And we might have a solution for that, or at least try to work towards a solution. Ultimately, the animals suffer. And the Colton Tiger Rescue Facility, I happened to be the first one on the scene after the initial bust. And this is not for the faint at heart, but I do want to show you a couple of pictures so that you get a little bit of an idea of what really is happening out there. We walked into 50 baby tigers in freezers. Okay? We've got hoofstock animals that have got hoofs that are longer than a foot and curled over. Abhorrent conditions. This is the squalor. By the way, these pictures were released to me by the district attorney of Riverside. So I've worked very close on this case and worked close with the DA as well as the police people that were involved, as well as Mike from the Fish and Game in California. These are tiger carcasses found in cages. Here you see a truckload full of tiger skins. Here you see tigers they were left because they didn't want to damage the skins. I am so angry, you guys have no idea how angry I am. Where their front paws were tied to the back of a truck waiting for them to die. Here's the evidence of that. Okay. And here's some more photographs, here's some more babies. In any event, I am almost shaking in my boots. I'm so angry about this. And, you know, we can lay the blame, Mr. Weinhardt. Of course, this lowlife should have been put out of business many, many years ago. I was involved with the USDA putting him out of business 7 years earlier in Riverside. The conditions of his animals in his facility were exactly the same as what they were in Colton. Now, you tell me, what is wrong with this picture? For the city of Colton, for the USDA, for Game and Fish to allow somebody like John Weinhardt to build a tiger rescue facility on the premise of a abandoned waste treatment plant. What were they thinking? I'm talking about the cages are here, and you could throw a rock into a 100-foot across sludge pit with feces and waste in it from the leftover from the waste treatment plant. I cannot understand what the city was thinking. I cannot understand what the USDA or all of these wildlife services that do check these places out. Don't tell me that these places became like that overnight. That took years of neglect. And let me tell you, it is horrible when you see this. Now, thank God that things are being done about it. I understand that pause. By the way, Chuck Tracy from the Fund for Animals did a wonderful job, absolutely. I got the keys turned over to myself. Of course, it wasn't easy. The police was involved, the DA was involved. We threatened him to go to jail and so on and so forth. Finally, I got the key, and then I stayed for a couple of days. We brought in some equipment. We helped out as much as we could, and then I turned it over to Chuck, who had locally, of course, a lot of people in place to take care of these poor animals. And now PAWS has taken over the animals. I understand that they raised about $300,000 to build a wonderful facility for these cats, and God bless them. So something good is being done. But you know, it's not very often that you can rescue that many big cats without the vast majority of them having to be destroyed, because there really is no room for them. There is no room for them. God, I hate it. I mean, I have so much work to do in my own sanctuary. I spend hours every single day of talking to some people. Come on, take one more cat. Please, just take one more cat. And they're full. It's really, it's horrible what's happening out there. And all of that, by the way, and that's the reason I really want to speak to you guys, because I know a lot of you very responsible. I've met a lot of you last year, and I know the breeding issue is a very sensitive issue with me. What is a good sanctuary? Well, a good sanctuary, of course, is got to be a 501c3 nonprofit, or you got to have deep pockets, but you should not have to be a 501c3. If you've got $500 million in your pockets, you don't need to be a nonprofit, then that's wonderful. No breeding, no breeding, no breeding, no breeding. If you are a sanctuary that breeds animals, you're not a sanctuary. And that's the way we look at that, okay? No buy, sell, or trade animals. No animals for commercial use, other than perhaps for your own if you have to do a commercial in order to raise funds in-house. Or as Brian said, in his particular case, he had one cat for the university that that he is able to take this cat off the premise for educational purposes that, of course, is acceptable. Unless, let me see, to provide, of course, one of the main things is to provide and I must underline this word, a clean housing facility, shelter and shading, provide proper nutrition and medical care, and lots of love, of course. That is our definition of a sanctuary. Now, I've been, Tina and I have been over the cross country, and we've seen, we always make a point if we have to go somewhere for whatever reason it is, if there's a sanctuary in the neighborhood or if there's a zoo in the neighborhood, we'll go check it out. Well, I've looked and visited a lot of sanctuaries, and let me tell you something, whether you are an accredited sanctuary both or a non-accredited sanctuary, I've seen appalling conditions in both, and I've also seen appalling conditions in people that weren't what they call a so-called accredited sanctuary. So the key word to me is, are you a credible sanctuary, not necessarily accredited? And the reason I say that is because it shouldn't matter whether you have 200 animals on your property or you have 1 or 2 animals on your property. If you rescue that animal, you should be considered a sanctuary, and you should be treated with respect accordingly. And not, thank you, and not because you're not a big operation, do you fall by the wayside and people look down on you. And a lot of that is happening, by the way. Different associations. I've also looked in different associations, and which would include TAOS, ASA, the Fund for Animals, PAWS, ACE, including the USDA and Game and Fish Department of Wildlife. They're all financially have problems. They're all understaffed, including the USDA. Ask them, they'll tell you. And they don't have the budget to work with that we would like them to have. So I found that they also, of course, all have financial problems and many, many other problems. So consequently, it is very limited what the associations can do for you as a sanctuary, if anything at all. So what I have come up with is perhaps a solution or the beginning of a solution to a huge problem. Now, Keepers of the Wild has been getting an awful lot of media attention. We still are. I don't know if you've seen some of this stuff on national television. We've got Reader's Digest coming out, wide variety of stuff. Well, along with that goes, of course, a lot of people inquire and make inquiries and say, well, you're a big sanctuary, this, that, one thing and the other. What do I do? And so consequently, we were getting a tremendous amount of questions from people that had the right things in mind, that wanted to start a sanctuary, or that perhaps wanted to have a certain amount of help in a certain department in their sanctuary. Volunteer programs. How do you run a successful volunteer program, for instance, is always a key question. And people from zoos even called me. I've been in the zoo business for so many years, and this wonderful lady came to visit us not too long ago, and she'd been in the zoo business for 7 years, and she says, something, I've never petted a tiger in my entire life. And yet I'm a zoologist, and so on and so forth. So what we have done is very, very simple, because I have a very, very simple solution to, if you really want to help the animals, you help everybody that can help the animals. That includes other sanctuaries, that includes private individuals, no matter what it takes. So what we did is, look, if you want to learn something, if you want to know how to do this, or you want to know how to do that, get on an airplane, get on a bus, get in your car, and drive down to our facility, and come spend 2-3 weeks with us. And we'll let you do, and we'll let you work in whatever department you want to work in, and go after what it is that you're after. May it be, and I'll go through a list of those things in a minute. So consequently, we've been doing that, and it's been very, very successful. Not only have we exchanged great ideas, because, I don't know it all, believe me. I wish I did, but I don't. And so there's a lot of people out there that had good ideas. And so we exchanged ideas and enriched, my life, and hopefully we did something for theirs as well. And the nice part about it is at absolutely no cost to them. So we made a lot of friends doing that. So we went a step further. I talked to my my board of directors, and because of lots of people have good ideas and have a wonderful, warm heart for animals and want to help, they just don't know how. So what I wanted to do is introduce to you today, and I'd like to have your feedback on this. We wanted to introduce the International Sanctuary Association, or better known as the ISA. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. It's not like any other sanctuary association, because this is with a little bit different twist. And so first of all, Keepers of the Wild right now is under construction. We're building phase 1. As you well know, I used to be located here in Las Vegas, and since I only got $100 from Caesar's Palace, I got a little discouraged, to tell you the truth. And not only that, is to try to open a sanctuary in this city is extremely political, and not as only is it political, land is extremely expensive. And so the next best thing, thanks to a friend of mine, we ran across a piece of property which it was only $100,000 an acre on a little bit further out of town, just on the other side of Hoover Dam, and that's where we are today. Well, currently we're building phase 1 of our animal park, which encumbers 9 habitats, each habitat being approximately 1 1/4 acre to 3.5 acres each. Each habitat will not house more than 2 to 4 cats. So we're talking about large areas at a cost of $8 million, by the way. Phase 2 hopefully will start within about a year or a year and a half from now. And I would like to read directly from the business plan as to what it is that we're trying to do, and I think how we can help everybody in the industry, if I may. The net profits generated from the operations of phase 1 should exceed about $4 million per year. With these funds, we will support the most ambitious animal sanctuary training and development program ever conceived through our soon-to-be-formed International Sanctuary Association, which incidentally has already been formed. It has been said that if you want to help, rather than providing fish for people to eat, teach them how to fish. And that's what we're going to try to do. I'm not going to go through the statistics. We already went through that earlier. The abundance of these magnificent creatures has resulted in the most disgusting conduct of some animal handlers, using the animals in canned hunts and for sale for their skins and body parts. We must stop this abhorrent conduct. Incidentally, that I could trace, there is about 300 canned hunts in this country. I've been told there's as many as 1,000 canned hunts in this country. I don't know if any of you know what a canned hunt is. You know, where you can shoot a tiger for a fee, or any other animal for that matter. Through the ISA membership program, we will assist individuals interested in opening and operating new sanctuaries, as well as assisting those interested in improving their existing sanctuaries, all free of charge. In doing so, we will establish the most effective protection system for our beloved animals in the shortest period of time possible. Throughout the United States and internationally, by the way, our teachings will help the members understand the systems necessary to for the success of an animal sanctuary operation, both financially and in the best interest of the animals it provides for. Our education center, which is approximately 20,000 square feet, that is right now on the drawing board, will include a state-of-the-art animal hospital with observation rooms, also animal quarantine and recovery area, classrooms, libraries, and computer labs with multiple stations for research, skeletal and other exhibits, including an exhibit hall, museum, conference rooms, library, etc., etc. Our educational program will be geared towards providing useful information not only on the handling of animals, but also on how to structure and run a successful facility. We intend to target the specifics of what it means to be a true sanctuary and address the topics of information that are generally not available. Our curriculum of topics will include the following. I'm going to give you a little bit of a list of what it takes to run a sanctuary and the things that are going to be available to you to be able to perhaps learn or learn more about. Of course, the sanctuary defined, which is great standards for a sanctuary. The legal issues: how to set up a nonprofit corporation, how to set up bylaws, how to apply for a 501c3 status, how to set up a board of directors and conduct board meetings, how to prepare for local, state, and governing bodies for zoning, licensing requirements, i.e. Fish and Game, USDA, town board meetings, county commission hearings, et cetera, et cetera. Believe me, I had a lot of county commission hearings. My Lord. The handling of government inspectors, such as the USDA inspectors and others, insurance requirements. Business and accounting, departmentalizing, setting up offices, setting up a website, communication systems, accounting controls, very important, by the way, bookkeeping systems, record keeping, employee manuals, and procedures and hiring guidelines, marketing and advertising, public relations, media publicity, and how to avoid bad publicity, by the way, brochures, mailers, and distribution thereof, special events, fundraisers, development of a good business plan, donations, grant writing, animal sponsorship program setup, merchandising, fundraising and benefits, staff and volunteer programs, for instance, staff requirements, how to run a successful volunteer program, staff and volunteer training, safety equipment training, staff housing, the public providing an educational information, conducting tours, safety and security, sponsorship return visitors, continuing education, and then, of course, we come to the wild animal husbandry. Humane training techniques, hands-on or hands-off. There is some institutions that do not believe in hands-on, yet you can train an animal to have to come up to, for instance, the front of the cage so that you can give them a shot, draw blood, do whatever, other than having to knock them down. Hands-on and hands-off handling, backup training, transporting of animals, local and long distance, national, international, including rescue protocol, cleaning animal enclosures and equipment, nutritional care and feeding methods, animal medical care and a medical protocol, equipment needed and the use thereof, safety equipment and use thereof, veterinarian services and requirements, daily and weekly animal reports. Do that, by the way. I heard somebody questioning that a little bit earlier. Daily reports will save your animals, trust me. There's not an animal on our property, and that includes a little lizard, that doesn't get a report filled out each and every day. Medical record keeping, enclosure requirements, and habitat design. And then last but not least, of course, we have the protocols, rules, regulations, safety procedures, emergency procedures, evacuation procedures, waivers, and communication. Operating an animal sanctuary can be a passionate, rewarding experience. Our success over the past 12 years have been an achievement of unsurpassed joy. In helping these magnificent creatures, we have helped ourselves both spiritually and emotionally. We at Keepers of the Wild will go beyond our sanctuary and reach out to the individuals and the sanctuaries in need of assistance to accomplish the huge task of rescuing and providing home for the abused, abandoned, and neglected animals. In order for the animals to be safe and secure, the owners must have knowledge, continuing education, financial responsibility, community support, and unending passion for what is right for the animals, and we can help. By the way, I did want to make one more statement, that if each person here today considers themselves to be a mini sanctuary and could help rescue just one animal, you know how many animals we could be taking care of right now? Just think about that.